Imagine waking up at work every day with no memory of how you got there. No weekends, no evenings, no personal life. Just an endless loop of tasks and fluorescent lights. Sounds like a productivity dream, right? Or is it a corporate nightmare? But beyond the unsettling aesthetics and mind-bending premise, Severance delivers powerful lessons about work, identity, and control. And if you stay till the end, we'll break down the top 5 lessons that might just change the way you see your own life. Welcome to Lessons from the Lens, where we explore the most iconic moments from TV and film to uncover lessons that inspire and help you grow. Today, we're diving into Severance, a show that turns the idea of work-life balance into something terrifying. Because when you separate work from life completely, do you still have a life at all? The severance procedure is meant to be a gift, an escape from stress, a way to separate work and personal life completely. But what happens when you realize that work you is a prisoner? Helly R is our first real look at what it means to be an innie, a person whose entire existence begins and ends at work.
You see, you have been hired to a position on the severed floor of Lumen Industries.
The what floor?
I understand you're confused about the severance procedure. Before we hop on that, let's chat about something I bet you have heard of, the work-life balance. To start, imagine yourself as a seesaw. Ow! Fuck!
The moment she opens her eyes, she's trapped. She never gets to go home, never sees the sun set, never experiences anything but Lumen's cold, endless routine.
So I'll never leave here.
You'll leave at 5. Well, actually, they stagger our exit, so 5:15.
Her Audi, the real Helly, doesn't care because she never has to suffer.
I understand that you're unhappy with the life that you've been given. But you know what? Eventually we all have to accept reality. I am a person. You are not. I make the decisions. You do not. And your resignation request is denied. Turn it off.
But her innie, she's screaming for help. This is where Severance forces us to ask an unsettling question. If a version of you is trapped in an endless work loop, but you never remember it, is it really happening? Or is suffering only real if we can recall it? Each character in Severance represents a different reason why someone might choose a procedure. Mark does it to escape grief. Irving believes in the company's mission. Dylan sees it as a way to provide for his family. Helly? She's forced into it by her Audi. But what they all realize in time is that their innie is paying a price for their Audi's decision. Dylan is one of the most tragic cases. His Audi signed up for more time with his kids, but the cost? His innie never gets to experience fatherhood.
Shit, is this my house?
Dylan, listen. You have no idea how sensitive this information is.
Daddy! Daddy!
What the fuck?
We told you to count to 1,000 and wait outside.
Is that my kid?
End it.
And when he finally gets a glimpse of it, it shatters him.
Jesus! He's biting me! Dylan! Come on!
And then there's Irving. His Audi follows the rules, but deep down, something isn't right. His subconscious knows something is being hidden from him. Even when memory is wiped, something lingers. The question is, how much of our identity is truly erasable? At first glance, Severance seems like a ridiculous sci-fi concept. No company could ever get away with that, right? But when you really think about it, don't they already try? Modern workplaces already blur the lines between work and personal life. We're told to bring our whole selves to work, but only the parts that serve the company. The way Lumen controls its employees isn't just about the severance chip. It's about the way they manipulate motivation, small rewards, arbitrary rankings, the illusion of upward mobility. All things we see in real corporate structures, designed to keep employees just satisfied enough to keep working, but never free enough to leave.
Hey, I know this has been a tough quarter. I'm gonna see about wrestling you up some special perks. That sound good? good man.
And what happens when you break the rules? Severance shows us the horror of corporate punishment taken to its extreme. The break room isn't about reforming behavior. It's about breaking the spirit. It's about compliance at all costs.
Forgive me for the harm I have caused this world.
None may atone for my actions but me, and only in me shall their stain live on. I am thankful to have been caught, my fall cut short by those with wizened hands. All I can be is sorry, and that is all I am.
I'm afraid you don't mean it.
Excuse me?
Again, please.
But Severance isn't just about the horror of losing yourself. It's about the fight to take it back. Mark, Helly, and the others realize that their lives aren't their own, and they start pushing back. They risk everything for a shot at autonomy, proving one thing: no system, no contract, no corporation should have more control over you than you. Because in the end, work-life balance isn't about separation, it's about control. And Severance shows us what happens when we give that control away.
We're prisoners! She's alive!
Before we wrap up, let's break down the 5 biggest lessons Severance teaches us about work, identity, and control. Lesson 1. Work-life balance is a lie. Aim for work-life boundaries. Lumen employees are literally severed between work and home. And while most of us don't have that, we still struggle to separate our jobs from our personal lives. Instead of trying to balance work and life, set clear boundaries. Define work hours. Turn off notifications after hours. And resist the pressure to always be available. Your personal time is yours. Protect it. If you don't control your time, someone else will. Think about it. Mark's innie has no control over his life. But in a way, neither do we when we hand over all our time and energy to work. If you don't set boundaries, if you don't protect your time, someone else will claim it for you. Lesson 2. The most dangerous thing is forgetting you had a choice. The scariest part of Severance? It's not just that the workers are trapped. It's that they forget they ever had a choice. And in the real world, the same thing happens when we accept bad jobs, bad bosses, bad systems, as if they're unchangeable facts of life. You always have a choice, even if it's hard, even if it's risky. Remember that.
Yeah.
Lesson 3. If you feel trapped, there's always a way out.
You're not stopping it.
The surest way to tame a prisoner is to let him believe he's free.
The most powerful moment in Severance is when the workers realize they deserve better and they fight back. And while your job might not have literal mind control, many of us stay in bad jobs because we don't see a way out. Even if the system feels impossible to escape, there's always a way out. It might take time. It might take courage. But the first step is believing it's possible. If your job makes you miserable, start planning your escape. Learn new skills, network, build a side hustle. Just don't accept misery as the price of survival. Your time is valuable, and you deserve more. Lesson 4. Work shouldn't define your entire identity. In Lumen, the innies have no existence outside of work. And while that seems extreme, think about this. How often do we let our jobs define who we are? When you introduce yourself, is your job the first thing you mention? Your job is what you do, not who you are. Prioritize hobbies, relationships, and passions outside of work. Because if work is all you have, what happens when it's gone?
Do you know if I'm happy up there?
Of course. You do all sorts of wonderful things.
If your entire identity is built around work, ask yourself, who are you outside of it? Find meaning outside of work. Because if your job disappeared tomorrow, who would you be? Lesson 5. Don't ignore the red flags in your workplace.
But we knew Carol D was leaving beforehand. I mean, her Audi film to thank you. Petey was just gone. And, I mean, I don't know if he's got some new job, or drunk on a beach, or dead.
That's enough, please.
Helly knew something was wrong the moment she arrived at Lumen, but like many of us, she was told to adjust and accept the culture. Sound familiar? From loyalty oaths to creepy corporate slogans, Lumen is built on blind obedience. And honestly, so are a lot of real-world workplaces. But just because a system exists doesn't mean it's right. Just because it's always been this way doesn't mean it should be. If your job makes you feel constantly anxious, controlled, or undervalued, it's not just how it is. It's a red flag. Trust your gut and, if possible, find an exit strategy before it's too late.
Let's burn this place to the ground.
So here's the real question. If you had the choice, would you take the severance procedure? Would you sacrifice half your existence for peace of mind? Or is it better to live with the struggle, knowing that at least you're free? Let me know your thoughts in the comments.
A good person will follow the rules. A great person will follow himself. At the center of industry is dust. They cannot crucify you if your hand is in a fist. Should you find yourself contorting to fit a system, dear reader, stop and ask if it's truly you that must change, or the system.